The most philosophically technical books of the Confessions are books 10 and 11, which are devoted to the themes of time and memory. It is not immediately evident why such an abstract discussion of memory and time follows from Augustine's autobiographical account of his conversion. But if we dig back into those first 9 books, in retrospect, we will find many places where the idea of memory served a crucial role. Even as early as Book 1, when Augustine is considering his origin and infancy, he asks God, quote, "What have I to say to thee, God, save that I know not where I came from, when I came into this life and death, or should I call it death and life? I do not know. I only know that the gifts your mercy had provided sustained me from the first moment. Not that I remember it, but so I have heard from the parents of my flesh, the Father from whom and the Mother in whom you fashioned me in time." The entire story of St. Augustine's willfulness and self-discovery is premised on the loss of God in this lost past. What does it mean to remember? How does a memory come about? And what exactly is a memory? The faculty of memory is closely related to sense perception. The majority of my memories are things I've seen and heard, which remain as images in the recesses of my mind. It's also possible to have a memory of taste and touch and smell. Have you ever had an experience where the slightest scent puts into your mind an entire experience from your childhood? This seems to be possible with all 5 of our powers of sense perception. But obviously, we don't take in all of what we perceive. A chair doesn't all of a sudden exist inside my eyeball if I look at a chair, nor does my eye turn red if I look at an apple. In sense perception, we abstract color from the thing we see. We take in the visible shape of a thing without taking in the material it's made of. And once we perceive the things, we have images of the things in us, somehow, in our imagination or in our memory. However, there are some things I know and I remember without ever having seen or heard or touched or tasted or smelled them. I have ideas that are not about visible or sensible things. Where did these sorts of memories come from? And even in something I hear with my ears, there is more than the sounds I perceive. Those words carry a meaning that my senses can't see or hear. How is the meaning of a word carried from the mouth of a speaker to the ear of a listener? How does a word remind me of something I can understand? Somehow language and the power of speech relies on remembering things we have not experienced, things that we cannot experience in the realm of the senses. The examples Augustine gives of such things are the rules of grammar and the laws of mathematics. Our ears don't hear the structures of sentences, and our eyes don't see the distributive principle of multiplication. We recognize these in the things we see and hear. How is memory related to forgetting? What does it mean to forget something? Do we in some way know the thing we have forgotten? If we don't remember at all the thing we have forgotten, we could not recognize it if we happen to find it. And don't we often recognize that we have forgotten? We realize that we have a memory, but can't at present bring it to mind. Are things forgotten somewhere in our memory? When we are remembering, we imagine an experience that we know we have had in the past. But where do these experiences go while I'm not actively imagining them? Quote, "When I turn to memory, I ask it to bring forth what I want. Some things are produced immediately, some take longer, as if they had to be brought out from some more secret place of storage." What then is time? Is the passage of time something objective, independent of us? Or is time something that can be understood only by the one experiencing time? Is time merely a subjective part of our experience, or is there something objective about time? We experience time in terms of the before and the after. Time to us is what is relative to the now in which we exist. From our point of view, the past no longer exists, and the future does not exist yet. So, are the before and after dependent on our subjective perspective? Are the past and the future anything without our experience of the before and the after? Is there motion without someone experiencing it? Could there be motion without the subjective before and after of time? Do clocks tell time, or do they just move? We measure the length of a day by the movement of the sun. But would the sun stand still if we stopped counting the days? And vice versa. If the sun came to a halt, would this stop the passage of time? Is there time for God? God is not in time because God has created time along with everything which moves. Is God then the measurer of time, standing outside the universe of movable things? And if God is eternal, could God's time have a before and after? Is time really even time without a before and after? Is time really time at all from the perspective of eternity? Time then seems to be the consciousness of time. Time is the awareness of motion, but it is not the same as motion. What then are the parts of time? Is time the now, the not yet, or the not anymore? Only the present now seems to exist for us. The past is gone, and the future is not yet here. How then do the past and the future exist for us? The past and the future exist in the present. The past and future are relative to our present. But this does not merely mean that time is subjective. If I'm a patient person, and you are not, waiting 40 minutes at the bus stop does not seem long to me, even if it seems long to you. That is subjective. What is not subjective is that we are both waiting and anticipating the bus, and once we are on the bus, we can remember what it was like before the bus arrived. No matter how we each individually measure the duration of time subjectively, not very long or too long, we all experience time as having the same structure of past, present, and future, the same structure of before and after. Likewise, all consciousness perceives time in retention, attention, and expectation, that is, in memory and awareness and forethought. The act of attending to the present is time. The act of retaining the past is time. The act of expecting the future is time. What then do each of these have in common? All of these acts of consciousness take place in the now of our experience. We experience the moment now as the division of past and future, as we flow through the before and after of time. But the now itself is like a point on a line, a division which takes up no space. The now is not a length of time, but it is also not merely the division in time. It is also the bridge between the before and after. Experiencing the now is not simply to exist at a point in time, but to span between the past and the future. We seem to exist across an impossible gap in time, which is like a space between two lines that touch. So thanks for listening, and I look forward to discussing this more with you on the forums. And remember, it is in you, O my mind, that I measure time.